What if I told you the most dangerous women in America aren't hiding in some witness protection program? They're walking free, running businesses, and sitting on fortunes that would make tech CEOs jealous. While their husbands rot in federal prisons or lie 6 feet under, these women control empires worth billions. And in 2025, they're more powerful than ever. Meet the wives who turned blood money into legitimate billions. The women who know where every body is buried, where every dollar is hidden, and who still take phone calls that make grown men tremble. From Emma Coronel's fashion empire built on El Chapo's name to Maria Licciardi commanding the Camorra from behind bars, these aren't just mob wives. They're the secret CEOs of the underworld. You think the mafia died with John Gotti? Think again. It just put on designer heels and learned to hide in plain sight. Let's start with the woman everyone's watching. Emma Coronel Ispuro isn't just El Chapo's wife anymore. She's become something far more dangerous, a celebrity criminal who turned her husband's life sentence into a business opportunity. At 34, she's walking runways in Milan, launching fashion lines, and posting Instagram stories that scream luxury. But here's what nobody talks about. The feds only seized a fraction of El Chapo's $14 billion empire. And Emma? She knows exactly where the rest is hidden. Think about it. When El Chapo was running the Sinaloa cartel, he was pulling in millions every single week. U.S. prosecutors documented mansions on every beach in Mexico, a private zoo with lions and tigers, and a $10 million oceanfront estate. They found some of it, sure, but billions are still missing. Offshore accounts in countries that don't talk to the DEA, properties under names that don't exist, vaults filled with cash that nobody's ever going to find. Emma served less than 3 years in federal prison. That's it. 3 years for helping run one of the biggest drug empires in history. She walked out in September 2023, and within months, she was on Fashion Week runways dressed as a bride. The symbolism wasn't subtle. She was reborn, reinvented, and ready to reclaim her throne. The government watches her every move. They track her finances, monitor her communications, tap her phones. But Emma's too smart to make obvious mistakes. She doesn't need to touch dirty money directly. When you know where $500 million to $1 billion is stashed, you don't need to. You just need to know the right people, make the right calls, and let others do the heavy lifting. In Sinaloa, she's still royalty. Not because people fear her, but because she's the mother of El Chapo's twin daughters. Those girls aren't just kids, they're heirs to a criminal dynasty. And Emma? She's the gatekeeper to one of the greatest hidden fortunes in the world. But Emma's not even close to being the most dangerous woman on this list. Let's talk about someone who's been playing this game since before Emma was even born. Rosario Niebla Cardoza is the woman nobody sees coming. While other cartel wives love Instagram and designer boutiques, Rosario built her power on one simple rule: never be seen. She's married to Ismael El Mayo Zambada, the real mastermind behind the Sinaloa cartel. And while El Chapo got all the headlines, El Mayo ran the actual business. For over 40 years, he stayed free, building an empire worth tens of billions, until 2024, when he was finally caught. But here's where it gets interesting. Rosario was never arrested, never charged, never even questioned. The woman who authorities believe controlled the cartel's entire financial empire just disappeared. No headlines, no manhunts, nothing. Think about what that means. Billions of dollars had to be hidden. Businesses had to be controlled. Money had to keep moving. Someone had to know where it all went, how it was cleaned, who could be trusted. That someone was Rosario. She knew every account, every property, every secret. And when El Mayo got caught, she didn't panic. She did what she always did. She stayed quiet. Her son Serafin was arrested for drug trafficking, exposing the family's deep cartel ties. Even then, Rosario remained untouchable. Some say she's still managing cartel money from the shadows. Others believe she's already passed control to trusted family members. But a woman who knows that much, who's seen that much, who's controlled that much, she never truly walks away. The authorities know she exists. They know what she's done. But without evidence, without her making a single mistake in 40 years, what can they do? Rosario Niebla Cardoza might be the most successful criminal in history that nobody's ever heard of. Now, if Rosario is the ghost, Maria Licciardi is the queen who refuses to die. This woman didn't just marry into the mafia, she conquered it. In Naples, Italy, where the Camorra rules with blood and bullets, Maria became the first woman to run an entire clan. When her brothers died or went to prison in the 1990s, everyone expected the Licciardi empire to crumble. Instead, Maria took over and made it bigger than ever. Drug trafficking, extortion, human trafficking, money laundering. Maria ran it all like a Fortune 500 CEO. She had politicians in her pocket, cops on her payroll, and an army of killers at her command. The Italian government called her La Madrina, the godmother, and she earned it. In 2021, they finally caught her at Rome's airport, thinking they'd ended her reign. But here's the thing about real power. It doesn't need freedom to function. Even from behind bars, Maria's empire hasn't just survived. It's thrived. Her clan remains one of the most powerful in Naples. Her orders still get followed. Her enemies still disappear. How does a woman run a criminal empire from prison? The same way she ran it from the outside. Through fear, loyalty, and the kind of intelligence that makes prosecutors quit their jobs. Maria Licciardi proved that in the mafia world, queens don't need crowns. They just need the right last name and the will to use it. But let's bring it back to America, where the real money is. Wendy Jenkins doesn't look like a gangster's wife. She looks like somebody's grandmother, which makes her perfect for what she does. Married to Larry Hoover, founder of the Gangster Disciples, Wendy spent decades as the woman behind Chicago's most feared gang leader. When Larry went to prison in 1973, Wendy was pregnant with their son. She gave birth alone, raised the kid alone, but never abandoned her husband. For over 50 years, she's been his connection to the outside world. Visiting him in Supermax, passing messages, keeping the organization alive. The feds accused her of helping Larry run gang operations from behind bars, of laundering money through businesses, of being the secret hand that kept the Gangster Disciples functioning. They could never prove it. But here's what we know for sure. Wendy Jenkins is worth an estimated $4 million. That's not government assistance money. That's not a pension. That's the kind of money that comes from knowing exactly how to move cash through the system without leaving fingerprints. In 2020, after decades of being denied, Wendy and Larry were finally legally married in federal prison. She was 70 years old. He was serving life without parole. But she still showed up, still said, "I do," still plays the role of the devoted wife. Because in her world, loyalty isn't just a word, it's a business model. Speaking of business models, let's talk about the woman who turned snitching into a $1 million memoir. Mia Flores and her sister-in-law Olivia Flores did something that should have gotten them killed. They helped their husbands, twin brothers Pedro and Margarito Flores, flip on El Chapo. These weren't small-time dealers. The Flores twins were moving billions in cocaine directly for the Sinaloa cartel. They were trusted, protected, untouchable, until they weren't. When the twins decided to become DEA informants, they didn't just risk their own lives. They put targets on their entire families. The cartel doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. And it definitely doesn't let snitches live happily ever after. But Mia and Olivia didn't just survive. They thrived. They wrote a book called Cartel Wives, spilling every secret, every detail, every dirty truth about their lives in the drug trade. They went on speaking tours, did interviews, built media careers on the graves of their former friends. The cartel still has bounties on their heads. Sicarios are still looking for them. But somehow, they keep popping up, keep talking, keep cashing checks. It's hard to truly gather the most accurate numbers when researching these individuals. Loopholes that cannot be verified unless you are part of the Billionaire Club. If you're hooked on these stories, hit that subscribe button. Every sub fuels our mission to uncover the wildest truths and deliver videos that blow your mind. And we're just getting started. Now, how do you live when the world's most dangerous criminals want you dead? You live carefully, you live smart, and you live with the knowledge that every day above ground is a day you weren't supposed to have. Some people say the Flores wives still have millions hidden away, cartel money that the government never found. They deny it. But when you've already betrayed the cartel once, what's a little lie to the feds? Now, most of these women inherited their power or married into it. But Griselda Blanco? She built hers from scratch. They called her the Black Widow because her husbands had a habit of ending up dead. They called her the cocaine godmother because she invented the drug trade as we know it. In the 1970s and 80s, she was moving so much cocaine into Miami that she single-handedly started the cocaine cowboys era. Griselda was different from other drug lords. She didn't just kill enemies. She killed friends, lovers, even her own people if they looked at her wrong. She once ordered a hit at a shopping mall in broad daylight. The target's 2-year-old son got caught in the crossfire. Griselda didn't care. She was making $80 million a month. What's one dead kid compared to that? The FBI finally got her in 1985. She served 20 years, got deported to Colombia, and everyone thought that was the end. Then, in 2012, she was gunned down in Medellin. Shot twice in the head, motorcycle assassination. Exactly the way she'd killed so many others. Poetic justice, right? Wrong. Because even dead, Griselda Blanco's empire didn't die. Her surviving sons still carry the legacy. One even launched a fashion brand in her honor. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Griselda's fortune, estimated at $2 billion at its peak, was never fully recovered. The DEA found some properties, seized some accounts, but billions just vanished. Where did it go? Into the hands of people who knew how to hide it. People who are still alive, still free, still spending money that smells like blood. Griselda Blanco may be dead, but her money? That's immortal. Let's talk about someone who's very much alive and very much active. Tanisha Welch was the first lady of BMF, the Black Mafia family. When her husband Terry Flannery was running one of America's biggest drug empires, Tanisha wasn't just spending the money. She was washing it. Millions of dollars flowing through shell companies, fake businesses, real estate deals. She knew every account, every transaction, every trick. When the feds came, Terry got 30 years. Tanisha got 5. She served her time, got out, and everyone expected her to disappear. Instead, she became a celebrity. The BMF story became a TV series. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know about the woman who helped build the empire. She's been on podcasts and documentaries, living off the legend she helped create. But here's what's interesting. Tanisha's not just telling old stories. She's got her hands in new businesses, clean businesses, the kind that don't attract federal attention. Or at least, that's what she wants you to think. Because when you know how to wash millions in drug money, turning legitimate cash into more cash is child's play. The feds still watch her. They know she's too smart to go back to the old life. But they also know that once you've tasted that kind of power, that kind of money, you never really quit. You just get better at hiding it. Sandra Avila Beltran learned that lesson the hard way. They called her the Queen of the Pacific, and she earned it. This woman wasn't just married to drug traffickers. She was the bridge between Mexican and Colombian cartels, personally responsible for moving tons of cocaine into the US. She dated cartel bosses like they were baseball cards, including El Chapo himself. When they arrested her in 2007, she didn't break, didn't snitch, didn't cooperate. She sat in prison, complained about the food, demanded better conditions, and acted like the whole thing was beneath her. When they released her in 2015, she didn't hide. She gave interviews, wrote a book, posted on social media. The woman who helped flood America with cocaine became an influencer. Today, Sandra lives freely in Mexico. She claims she's retired, done with the criminal life. But retirement for someone like her doesn't mean poverty. It means living off investments, properties, and accounts that the government never found. It means knowing where millions are buried and having the connections to dig them up when needed. The Mexican government watches her. The DEA watches her. But watching isn't catching, and Sandra knows it. She's untouchable now. Not because she's innocent, but because she's too smart to get caught twice. Then there's Claudia Ochoa Felix, who might be the most interesting case of all. This woman became famous for posting Instagram photos with pink AK-47s, designer clothes, and stacks of cash. The media called her the Kim Kardashian of the Sinaloa cartel, the Empress of Los Angeles. She was supposedly the leader of an elite team of cartel assassins. Here's the twist. Claudia denied everything. No cartel ties, no criminal record, no involvement in any violence. She said she was just a social media influencer who liked guns and money, who happened to be married to the son-in-law of El Mayo Zambada, who happened to party with known cartel members, who happened to live a lifestyle that required millions of dollars with no visible source of income. In 2019, Claudia was found dead in her home. Official cause: drug overdose. She was 32 years old. The timing was suspicious. The circumstances were suspicious. Everything about it screamed assassination. But officially, just another party girl who partied too hard. Even dead, Claudia's story matters, because she represented something new in the cartel world. The Instagram generation of crime. Young, beautiful, and brazen. Posting their crimes for likes, turning murder into content, making the cartel lifestyle look glamorous to millions of followers. She may be gone, but her influence created a template that dozens of others now follow. Victoria DeGiorgio never wanted any of this. She wanted a quiet life, a normal family, the American dream. Instead, she married John Gotti and became the wife of America's most famous mobster. While her husband was building the Gambino crime family into a powerhouse, Victoria was home raising 5 kids and pretending everything was normal. When they finally got Gotti, when he was sentenced to life, Victoria could have walked away, could have changed her name, moved across the country, started over. She didn't. She stood by him until he died in prison in 2002. Then she became his voice, defending his legacy, fighting the government, making sure the Gotti name stayed powerful. Today, Victoria's in her 80s. She's never been charged with a crime, never spent a day in jail, but the Gotti name still opens doors and makes people nervous. Her son, John Jr., tried to go legitimate, became a writer. Her daughter, Victoria, had a reality show, but they all live under the shadow of that name, and Victoria Sr. is the keeper of that shadow. She says she's just a widow, just a mother, just an old woman who wants to be left alone. But in certain neighborhoods in New York, when Victoria DeGiorgio's name comes up, people still lower their voices. Because some powers don't need guns or money, they just need memory. Here's what nobody wants to admit. These women aren't victims, they're not accessories. They're players in a game where the stakes are life and death, where the prizes are measured in billions, and where losing means ending up in a federal supermax or a shallow grave. They chose this life. Maybe not at first, maybe not directly, but somewhere along the way they made a choice. To stay, to participate, to profit. And now, in 2025, while their husbands are dead or locked away, these women are still here, still powerful, still dangerous. Emma Coronel posts from fashion weeks while sitting on hidden billions. Rosario Cardoza moves through shadows controlling an empire. Maria Licciardi runs Naples from a prison cell. They've outlasted the men who brought them into this world. They've survived wars, arrests, and assassination attempts. And they're not done yet. The government wants you to think the war on drugs is winning, that the mafia is dying, that organized crime is on its last legs. But look closer. Look at these women. Look at their freedom, their wealth, their influence. The crime families didn't disappear. They just learned to wear designer dresses and smile for Instagram. Every luxury handbag, every charity donation, every fashion show appearance is funded by blood money. Every business they run, every investment they make, every dollar they spend came from someone's addiction, someone's death, someone's destroyed family. But they sleep fine at night. Because in their world, survival is the only morality that matters. The next time you see a headline about a mob boss getting arrested or a cartel leader getting killed, remember this. Behind every fallen king is a queen who knows where the money is hidden. And in 2025, those queens aren't hiding anymore. They're hiding in plain sight, running empires from penthouses and prison cells, living billionaire lifestyles built on graves. The deadliest women in organized crime aren't the ones with guns. They're the ones with lawyers, accountants, and Instagram accounts. They're the ones who turned their husbands' life sentences into lifelong revenue streams. They're the ones who know that in the crime world, the real power isn't in pulling triggers. It's pulling strings. And those strings, they're still being pulled. Right now, by women you've never heard of, in places you'll never see, moving money you'll never trace. The secret billionaire wives of the underworld aren't just surviving in 2025. They're thriving, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop them. Because when you know where billions are buried, When you know which judges to call, which cops to pay, which politicians to own, you don't need to hide. You just need to smile, wave, and let everyone think you're just another rich widow trying to move on with her life. The truth is much darker. These women aren't trying to move on, they're trying to take over. And if the past is any indication, they're succeeding. For more deep dives into the lives of the 1% and the 0.01%, check out the videos suggested on your screen. See you on the other